Today we're breaking down how remake rumors for Black Flag, one of the most beloved games in Assassin's Creed history, have absolutely exploded over the last 15 days, along with Ubisoft's mysterious moves, leaks, domain activity, and the resynced claims, because what's happening right now is no longer just a simple rumor, and Edward Kenway's return feels closer than ever. If you enjoy this kind of gaming news, leak analysis, and Assassin's Creed content, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Let's get started. One of the most eye-catching developments was the emergence of a domain allegedly tied to the name Assassin's Creed Black Flag. The fact that this domain appears to be associated with registration infrastructures Ubisoft frequently uses made many people believe this isn't just a random fan project. Ubisoft is known to prepare domains months in advance for major projects like Prince of Persia and other big releases. So what we're seeing here could very well be the groundwork of a marketing identity. On its own, the domain discovery might not be considered hard proof, but the interesting part is that it didn't stop there. Around mid-January, new activity on the domain side was reported, and right around the same time, something very strange happened on Ubisoft Music's YouTube channel. Black Flag's 2-year-old sea shanties suddenly began to be re-uploaded to YouTube one by one for no apparent reason. A total of 18 tracks, and all of this during the exact same week when remake rumors were at their hottest. It's not common for Ubisoft to suddenly resurface a game's music years later. Because of that, many interpreted this as a possible conscious warm-up move before a remake reveal. These kinds of small but noticeable actions are often used to remind audiences of a brand, just before a major announcement. In other words, Ubisoft might be slowly re-injecting Edward Kenway and the Caribbean atmosphere back into players' minds. And it doesn't end there. Certain back-end updates spotted for Black Flag on SteamDB, while not definitive remake proof, further strengthen the feeling that something is being touched again on an old title. It could be launcher infrastructure, Ubisoft Connect components, or purely technical reasons, but once again, the timing is extremely telling. All of these signals started stacking up within the same 10-15 day window. At this point, one of the most talked about community claims is that this won't be just a visual upgrade. According to leaks, Black Flag Remake, codenamed Resynced, is expected to overhaul core systems as well. Close combat mechanics, smoother naval battles, and a more alive inter-island ecosystem are reportedly on the table. So this wouldn't be a simple 4K 60 frames per second patch, it could be a nearly rebuilt Black Flag. That also makes Ubisoft's silence much more understandable. Because if core mechanics are really being reworked, this stops being a remaster and becomes a full-scale remake, and expectations skyrocket. After some recent projects that failed to meet fan expectations, it makes sense that Ubisoft would want to be extremely careful with a sacred title like Black Flag. The reveal timing may be planned down to the smallest detail. Looking at Ubisoft's marketing history, we've seen this exact pattern before. A long, quiet period paired with tiny hints right before major announcements. Mirage and the Prince of Persia Sands of Time remake went through the same dead silence plus subtle clues phase before suddenly dropping trailers and official statements. What we're seeing now lines up perfectly with that structure. One major theory in the community is that Ubisoft wants to use this remake as a bridge title to keep the franchise alive, while next-gen projects like Hexa and Invictus are still on. The way that would make Black Flag Remake a nostalgic goldmine strategically positioned between massive RPG releases and therefore a very critical project for Ubisoft. And then there's the Edward Kenway factor. Black Flag isn't just loved for its mechanics, it's loved for its soul. The sea shanties, naval combat, Caribbean atmosphere, and Edward's anti-hero personality gave Assassin's Creed a completely different identity. Ubisoft knows this, which is why expectations lean toward not just making the game prettier, but truly reviving its spirit for a new generation. The question of why Ubisoft is pushing this now is also important. With Shadows, Hexa, and Invictus already filling the release calendar, the strong resurgence of Black Flag suggests Ubisoft wants to bring back a guaranteed fan favorite to the front lines. For a company that has seen fluctuating sales in recent years, Black Flag Remake could also be a financially safe move. Leaked claims also suggest major expansions in environmental and city design. Havana, Nassau, and Kingston are rumored to become larger, more crowded, and more interactive. That would bring Black Flag in line with modern open-world expectations, meaning this remake may aim to compete with today's Assassin's Creed scale, not just rely on nostalgia. Naval combat is also rumored to be completely overhauled with new physics systems, more realistic wave behavior, improved cannon and ship damage models, and far more cinematic boarding sequences. That legendary feeling of being a hunter on the open sea could return stronger than ever on next-gen hardware. Another interesting rumor suggests small touches to voice acting and dialogue as well, with possible re-recorded scenes for Edward Kenway and expanded dialogue and quest content for side characters. This hints at a more enriched narrative structure overall, perhaps the most exciting possibility. Black Flag Remake may be built on Ubisoft's new generation Assassin's Creed engine. If true, lighting, animations, parkour, and facial expressions could reach an entirely new level, potentially giving Edward Kenway the second great rebirth after Ezio. And right in the middle of all this, Ubisoft's total silence is only fueling expectations further. This no longer feels like a normal waiting period, it feels strategic. The community is discovering new hints almost daily, and Ubisoft allowing this wave to grow without saying a word suggests they're letting the hype build itself. The sea shanty uploads on Ubisoft Music feel like a deliberate psychological trigger in that silence. While people re-listen to those songs, they're subconsciously returning to Black Flag, remembering old moments, and thinking, wouldn't it be amazing if this got a remake? That's textbook nostalgia-driven marketing. Community theories suggest Ubisoft will likely drop this remake as a surprise reveal at a Ubisoft Forward event, staying silent for weeks, then suddenly detonating a cinematic trailer with a bold "Edward Kenway returns" slogan. That kind of move would go viral instantly and skyrocket franchise interest. As for release timing, while no official date exists, industry whispers suggest a window between late 2025 and the first half of 2026. Looking at Ubisoft's recent release patterns, that window makes perfect sense, especially for slotting a nostalgia giant between major RPG launches. If true, Black Flag Remake would target not only veteran fans, but also newer players who joined through Valhalla and Shadows, making it a key bridge between Assassin's Creed's past and future. Interestingly, these rumors have also reignited discussions about Ubisoft's broader remake roadmap. Ubisoft previously stated they were working on remakes of older Assassin's Creed titles but never revealed which ones. The sheer volume of Black Flag activity strongly suggests they want to kick off that remake chain with this game. Some fans even believe that if Black Flag Remake becomes a commercial success, Ubisoft could greenlight full-scale remakes of Unity, Syndicate, and even the Ezio trilogy. Edward Kenway's return could reshape the entire legacy of the franchise, and Ubisoft choosing Black Flag makes perfect sense. Pirate themes, naval warfare, and open-world exploration represent one of the most unique and beloved eras of Assassin's Creed. With Ubisoft reinvesting in pirate-themed projects like Skull and Bones, Black Flag is one of their strongest cards. A remake could polish and re-elevate that entire theme across the brand. There's also speculation that this remake could serve as a showcase title for Ubisoft's new technologies, debuting new animation systems, AI improvements, and environmental interaction features. So this may not just be a nostalgia move, it could be a preview of Ubisoft's next-gen Assassin's Creed vision. At this point, we can say one thing clearly. Even without official confirmation, Black Flag Remake has moved far beyond the could-it-happen stage. The real questions now are, when will it be revealed? And how big will it be? And it looks like Edward Kenway's return is shaping up to be one of the biggest comebacks in Assassin's Creed history. So what do you think? Should this remake be just a visual upgrade, or a fully rebuilt Black Flag with revamped gameplay, naval combat, city design, and quest systems? Should Edward Kenway's story get new scenes? And could this remake open the door for Unity, Syndicate, and even the Ezio trilogy to get full remakes? Share all your thoughts in the comments, and if you enjoy this kind of gaming news, leaks, and rumor videos, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.